NPP. The NPP.
Having said that, let me also say that really.
The NPP is putting pressure on the Electoral Commission to compile a new voters register, presenting what the party calls the smoking gun. Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, who is the vice presidential candidate of the NPP, said tens of thousands of foreigners, in their estimation, have found their names onto the country's electoral register, and key among them a figure with some sampled pictures of some personalities who apparently find themselves, according to what they are bringing out, in the register of Ghana's Electoral Commission and also that of the Togolese register. That really is the crux of the matter, Mr. Chairman. Really? Could that be true, that those are authentic pictures we're getting from here and here? How did we come about
it? Let me say this. Let me attempt to start from, in the scientific method we say, let me attempt to start from the first principles. Okay. The first question I want to ask is that, is there something called a biometric facial recognition technology? Is there anything like that? Yes, there is something like this. The next question is, does it work? Yes, it works. Like any technology, you may have to give some allowance for
some errors.
For error. But any technology, you must allow for some errors. So you ask me, is it true? I am saying we are not conjuring, we are not doing magic here. Again, the elders are saying, I think that it is general, but I think the accounts. Literal translation means that if I pluck the mushroom, I tell you the mount from which I plucked it. We have stated categorically that there was election in Togo. The register was available. We are comparing our register with their register. We are using a technology called biometric facial recognition technology. And this is what is popping up. We have laid our cards front on the table. I think it begs the issue for anybody to sit and say that these people like to fabricate. These people like to tell lies. This one is like a JHS student who has set his question and is trying to devise a formula. For me, it reminds me of a period when same Dr. Bawumia had opportunity to give lectures on the state of the economy and stated very clearly that because of this and this and this, these may be the outturns. The man was lambasted, the man was called all sorts of names. All of us live in this country and all of us are seeing the unfolding of events. Depreciating currency, government inability to pay its bills, rising debt. It is evident. So in the same way, I think that we should treat this the same way. What we are seeking to do as a responsible political party is to ensure that the source document for election is credible. We have raised the issue time without number that we think that there is a problem with the document. Number one, we have stated very clearly, and indeed the Supreme Court, the apex court of this land, has determined that the way the Electoral Commission allowed people with NHIS, and we are reliably informed that the number runs into over 1 million. People use NHIA cards to register. So there are people who were not supposed, according to the law, who are not supposed to be on the register. They are on the register. Number two, we are all witnesses of what happened in the Supreme Court. Look, the voters register for parliamentary, the difference between the voters register for parliamentary and the presidential, the figures is almost 500.
What do you mean? You mean the votes?
The roll, the number on roll. between the parliamentary elections and the presidential elections.
You mean the total
ostensibly
roll? Total roll?
Yes. Ostensibly.
How possible? We use the same register for both elections.
Ostensibly.
Are you talking about the votes?
Yeah, the number of persons enrolled. Because the electoral committee. Oh, no.
It is not possible.
It is possible.
We use the same register for elections, for both parliamentary.
Honorable colleague, respectfully.
Yes, but I'm saying that point must be made clear before we proceed.
Respectfully, when I finish, I think that you can make your point. All of us were in this country when the electoral commission.
I'm trying to get that.
All of us were in this country when the electoral commissioner came to tell us that it had gone to register people, Ghanaians who were working for government and who were on government scholarships. And then they gave a figure of 500,000. When that difference was asked, in any case, when people are outside the jurisdiction and they are voting, they only vote in the presidential.
Okay.
That is the situation. When in the Supreme Court, the electoral commissioner, Dr. Afrajan, was asked, he couldn't produce more than 705 registrations. But they had put on 500,000 more. The voter register for parliamentary was 13.6 million. The voter register for presidential was 14.1. You understand me? In any case, the difference between the winner and the loser, so-called winner and the so-called loser, is 300,000 votes.
I seriously protest against this.
Right. Which one?
So-called winner.
Okay, I take it back. Please. The difference between the winner and the loser is 300,000 votes.
So
where we want an accounting of that 500,000 votes that has not been accounted for till now. Number 3, they talk about minors. Yesterday I was on a certain platform, and the man stated unequivocally that in Ashanti region there were minors that registered. I said, okay. So you are even confirming our position that there are minors on the register. And the law of this land says that anybody who must register, who must vote, must be a Ghanaian, must be more than 18 years. So if you say that there are minors and the minors registered in Ashanti region, then you confirm our point that this voter register is not credible.
Okay.
Last but not the least, we are saying that we have begun a process. We were unequivocal. We stated very clearly that we will have opportunity to do the same thing with the Ivorian register. We will do the same thing with the Burkinabe register.
So you've now only started with the Togo
list. We have only done 10% of the comparison with the Togo register, and we are getting a figure of almost 80,000. You see, again, I want to go back to the fundamental law of the land, the Constitution. The Constitution says that it is only Ghanaians who must vote in a Ghanaian election. Already, I have heard the propaganda going up. Didn't we tell you that they don't like foreigners? What is about liking a foreigner or not liking a foreigner in this matter?
This is a pure matter of law.
This is purely a matter of law.
The Constitution says if you're
not. The Constitution is clear. If you are not 18, you don't vote. If they are minors, whether they were registered in the Ashanti region, in the northern region, or in the Volta region, we are breaking the law. It gives credence to the fact that the electoral roll we have is not credible.
Okay. Mr. Lange van der Poel. We've seen a number of reactions to your General Secretary has been on and speaking on the subject as well. But it's very much decisive, especially when we're having only 10% of the comparisons done, and these really are concerning areas in the Volta region.
Because
your party's World Bank.
Because we took.
Yeah, I know you haven't finished with the rest. Yeah.
Roland, you know, I sometimes I cry for this country.
Over what?
Because people behave in a way that I do not expect them to behave. Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, who yesterday addressed the press conference, know the process of elections in this country, I presume. All the MPP executives who were sitting there know the process. All the MPP executives know that election is not just a day's activity, it's a process. And there are laid down procedures for registering, for challenging, 4 disqualifying, and 4 voting. So when people acquiesce on their rights and then they turn round to blame the system, it makes it difficult for me to comprehend. We were in this country. We were given avenue for registration. We were told the qualification for registration, as my brother has just enumerated. You must be a Ghanaian, you must be of sound mind, you must be 18 years and above. And I'm surprised that an MPP person will sit at a registration center and look at a minor to register. For Bawumia to turn around and come and tell me that there's a minor on the register.
But that's not. But that's not an issue.
That is a proof of ignorance.
But the point is that the Electoral Commission and its officers are supposed to make sure minors don't get into the register.
It is not the Electoral Commission.
It's okay.
It is you, the party agent, the registration agent there.
That's not in law.
That's what did the law say? If you are coming to register and I believe that you are not 18, I have every right under the law to take a challenge your registration.
If I'm not able to do that, it doesn't mean that there should be a minor on the register.
How would the person prove? How would the person prove somebody is a minor? How will you prove? How will you prove the person is a minor?
The person is supposed
unless you challenge the person and bring the person before the tribunal, and the person will prove by his identity that he's 18 or above 18. But you can't look at somebody's facial expression. Can you determine my age?
Yeah.
Can you?
I think I can.
Tell me my age.
No, this is
no, we are determining a case here. Scientific analysis.
I look at your, but no, we're just talking about a scenario where you look at somebody's age and you may mention a certain number and it's not the age.
Yes.
That's what you want to draw.
So yes, I for example, recently we just organized some more boxing. We're looking at boys who are 12, 14 years to fight. My boy came, looking at his structure, I said, oh, no, this boy is above 14. I said, what? I was born this day. He brought his
But those are once in a while cases.
No, I just want you to understand. So the electoral officer sitting there has not got the mechanism to determine the age of the person, and the person prove it.
So your point is...
So I just want to say that if you sat down there and you allow minors to register, don't blame the system. Blame yourself. But then to repudiate that damage, it is not a matter of a new voter register. It's a matter of you going to prove that this person did not qualify to register. And I say I'm challenging their registration.
Let me ask you this question.
That's the procedure.
Prior to the election, and indeed just some few weeks to the election, the Electoral Commission convened a press conference, and I remember we all covered that live, in which pictures were circulated to the media. And all the indication indeed from for the chairman of the Electoral Commission was that pointedly, you look at these pictures and he asked rhetorically, are these not minors? But he said he had nothing to do about them.
Why did he say that?
Well, he has the responsibility at that point in time. And I remember the media at the point in time asked those questions.
The responsibility.
Why is it that he knows that, well, he can suspect these are minors, but they have their
because he has no mandate under the law to just take somebody's name from the register. He has to use a legal procedure, and the legal procedure is for someone to protest against the registration of that person.
How about names that appear in Togo's register or reservedly are perceived to have appeared?
You see, that is funny. I saw some of the things and I said, look, how can you even use this as evidence? Ghana's, you see the Ghana's voters ID and the supposed so-called ID of the Togolese is there. No name, nothing, no biography, only a number be there. How can you even use that as evidence?
But that's not enough for you to dismiss.
But is that enough to prove? If it is not enough to dismiss, is that enough to prove?
There's not a question I'm asking.
The person who is proving must have a very, very substantial evidence to prove that. Because you who alleges must prove. You can't use this as enough evidence to prove. Two, I want to ask a question here. When was Ghana's register compiled? And when was Togo's register compiled? Is it not possible? There's Ghanaians here who migrate between Ghana and America all the time. I know my brother sitting here.
You mean they have dual citizenship or something of the sort?
I will not say that. I'm saying he has a family who came down to vote for him during the elections. How can he tell me that those family members in America did not vote during the American elections, if they were American citizens too, if they hold American green cards? Can he tell me that? I'm saying that, what I'm saying is that let's be careful not to give a dog a bad name in order to hang it. Let's sit down and critically examine this and not decide.
Mr. Vanderpoint, at the end of the day, all these concerns that the MPP is raising, doesn't it put a certain dark cloud around the documents that we're using as a criteria to use to vote?
Entirely not. Entirely not. It doesn't at all.
So you are saying that we should go and do the auditing by displaying the register, you go and raise the questions, and you make sure the next time that you are updating, the party agents make sure.
That is my problem. There are legitimate means of addressing this. So let's use those procedures, let's use those mechanism to address the problem we have. The MPP can raise an objection on these people and have the people challenge, and they appear before the tribunal, and if it is true, their names will be expunged.
Well, you've only done 10%. You've only done 10% of the.
About the 705 versus the 500.
No, you've only done 10% of the comparison. If you know them. When the register is displayed for updates, you just go, oh, this name, it's here, you raise the concerns, it goes off.
You see,
then you make sure that
fundamentally, you see, when you set out to do something, the first thing you need to establish is what is the object? What is the objective? What is your objective? Our objective is that we will have a register that all of us, as players, our stakeholders, that's a word like we like to use, would be very comfortable with going into election 2016. Fundamentally.
The same procedure was used when you won the elections in 2000.
So what we are saying is that if issues are raised, if issues of 1.5 million people who used an NHIS card to register,
and that's a valid point you have.
If anybody, you cannot brush this under the carpet. We are saying that there are 500,000 people on the list for presidential elections. When the Electoral Commission was asked to provide the list, they have provided the list of only 705 people.
I see.
We are saying and we are agreeing that they are minors. You see, I also am a little surprised at my colleague here, that the fact that some criminality has been perpetrated and you didn't see
by who,
post effect, post facto,
by who,
post facto.
If it's a criminality,
by who?
For a 14-year-old person to register,
then by your agent, because your agent assisted him to register.
But I'm asking, is that grounded in law?
I not grounded in law.
Well, at the end of the day,
you see,
the argument will still continue on this very side. Our time is up.
What he's saying is that some thieves broke into your house. There was a watchman. The man didn't do anything. The thieves broke into your house. 5 days later, you see your shirt and your trousers and your shoe worn by somebody.
The police immediately.
Emmanuel is the member of parliament for Ewaso West Wuogon constituency. And Neil Vanderpoint is the deputy minister for local government and rural development and member of parliament for Ododo. We're talking about